Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on my channel, and in this episode I'm going to be featuring this 145. It is only a little 1.8, but the customer has had it since pretty much new. It has been off the road for a few years, so we do need to do a little bit of recommissioning to it. So let's have a look over it, let's see what needs doing, and then we can crack on fixing it in another episode. Now the customer is kindly letting me film videos on this while it's being repaired. So if I remember rightly, it's been off the road for about 7 years. He has owned it for a very long time. It's very much been his pride and joy because it was his very first Alfa. So we're going to take very good care of this one. It sort of may need a fair amount of work doing to it. The customer would like it to be on the same level as my 145, but we'll see how much needs doing to it. So let's have a look around it. Start with the bodywork and see if anything needs doing here. Other than needing a good wash, it shouldn't be too bad because it did have a full repaint a few years ago. So it may only need a good clean and a polish. Right from the off, it doesn't look too bad. The paint job seems to be really good. It's very smooth indeed. Do you know what? That is pretty good indeed. I'm glad this may actually be one car where I don't need to do any paint work on it. Oh, is that a scratch there? Yeah, it looks like a scratch. So we'll see what we can do with that. It may, if we can get a good colour match, just touch it in and try and get that scratch to disappear rather than repainting that whole panel. But yeah, the exterior seems okay. The wheels and tyres are going to be coming off the car. We do have some special ones to go on, as you probably see in the boot of the car, but I'm not going to show you those. They're going to be a surprise reveal for the end. But yeah, the exterior seems okay. I can't really pick it apart. Normally I've got 20 million faults that I want to repair on it, but this isn't too bad other than needing a good wash and a polish. So the interior, it has had an upgrade done to it with the leather seats and door cards. They are my favourite style ones where you've got the red stitching in the front of the cards. Nice black leather interior in there. It does need a little bit of recolouring here, but that's nothing major at all. He did have a new steering wheel put on it a few years ago, so that is all mint. We do have an airbag light on. So I am going to need to repair that, and we're also going to need to fit another stereo as well because he wants another stereo fitting. And I've just spotted, no, we're all right. I thought the clock screen had gone, but it's the old style. I did forget to mention as well, it's got a Zender kit fitted to it, which is also super rare. It is a genuine Zender kit. And one that you don't see very often at all on these 145s. Now, under the bonnet, other than being a little tired, it shouldn't be too bad. The request from the customer is to tidy up the engine bay, things like repaint the mounts, tidy up all the dust and things like that. Maybe recondition the top engine mounts. He wants the engine cover polishing up as well, and the details repainting. The only sort of worrying little bit I can see in the engine bay is the rust starting to form down here. So what we may want to do is take the engine out of it, strip the front end off, and repaint the chassis legs and also repair them if they need any repairs. The actual suspension turrets are not too bad because they are quite common for rusting through. And they've not been touched, so it is definitely going to be a reasonably conditioned car under the engine bay. We're also going to be doing a full service, cam belt, probably a variator as well, and well, once we get it up in the air we shall see what else needs doing to it. While I'm thinking about it, has anybody managed to find a solution yet for these braking? I know you can glue them in, is there anybody out there selling reproduction versions or even 3D printed ones? So if you've got an idea of where you can get the bonnet stay clip from, let me know, because I would love to buy a bulk batch of them. Now we do have a few issues engine starting and running wise. As you can hear, the starter motor is catching every time you start it up. We've got the airbag warning light on, and the alternator is intermittently failing. When I first pulled it into the unit the other day, the battery light was flickering and going off. Now it seems to be on permanently, so we do need an alternator refurbishment as well. But for an old car, it's quite low mileage. It's only done 96,000, and that should be sort of over 200,000 now if we go by our average mileage. Everything on the inside is nice, clean, works. So there's not really much to do in here apart from fit the stereo and fix the airbag warning light. Let's start under the arches now we've got it up in the air. We have got some rust forming behind here. More than likely by the time that's rubbed down, it will want a little bit of welding. The inside, the turret isn't too bad. We do have some spots of rust coming, but not too bad. That's actually really good at the back there. It's not too bad at all. I won't go over the rear arches because they're all full of plastic arch liner and you can't see anything. So let's just get to the front at the now. Yeah, again, it's going to want some more rust repairs there. Let's turn the wheel round. Okay, yeah, a little bit. That's where it normally goes, down there, and it's starting to go. Also with 145s, it goes behind the arch liners here and here. So I am going to want to pull the arch liners out as well. So far, not too bad. It doesn't need much welding, which is a good sign, because 145s, they're ridiculous for going rusty underneath the arches. So let's get it up in the air. I honestly haven't seen the underside of it yet, so I don't know how bad it is. So it's going to be as much as a surprise for me as it is for you. Okay, it's in the air. Try not to peek. Let's turn the camera around and have a look. We do have an oil leak down the front of the engine. That is more than likely rocker cover gasket causing all that. That's no hardship at all. We do need to repair or replace the bottom of the bumper mounts. The lower chassis leg at the front isn't too bad. We need a radiator desperately. We need a radiator support because it looks as though it's about to fall out and rust away. This chassis leg isn't too bad again, but yeah, it does need looking after before it gets any worse, especially if the customer's going to be keeping it for such a long time. Just by the state of them, you're going to want wishbones and anti-roll bars, but how much they cost, and if the engine's coming out, it's going to be extra easy to change them. Front exhaust pipe looks okay. Let's follow the rest of the exhaust down. We won't look at the floor yet. The cat outer cover's starting to rust away, but that's nothing major. The rest of the exhaust is okay. Rear floor pan, yeah, we've got some rust coming here, but it's nothing I'd stress over. Rear chassis frame looks okay. Let's get to the floor. Oh, it's not that bad. Is it that bad? I don't know yet. What do you guys think? It's original, most of it. It is. Oh, has that been repaired? Yeah, that's been repaired at some point in its life. I see some welds around there. So hopefully that will just want tidying up and a few welds putting in there. It's had a big patch here. Looks like they've done a pretty decent job. Well, we've got some, yeah, welding's going to be wanted all the way down here. So the interior is going to have to come out to repair that side. Rear floor, that's been messed with as well, so they should be okay to be rubbed down and repaired. And again here looks like it's gone. Yep, that's going to be, let's get me poking device. So I've had a little prod around. We've got one hole here. So what will probably happen, I'll clean it all up and see how much needs repairing down to here. By the time I've got the wire wheel onto it, it'll probably be filled with holes, so it sort of won't repairing all the way along there down the front. And this side, is still fairly solid. So yeah, it's just two large patches at the front which need doing. Yeah, right. Front subframe isn't too bad. Could do with a little bit of refurbishment, but that's no hardship. Brake pipes, they're okay there. Let's check the rear brake pipes where they're common for going. That's okay there. And they're also common for going up there, but we can't see too much of those. So yes, not too bad. I almost forgot to go over the rear subframe. Yeah, we're going to want distant pads because they are quite corroded. We're going to want some rear shockers. The subframe, although it's a bit manky, it will survive, but if it wants it taken off and refurbishing, that's something we can do. This shocker again is very rusty indeed, so that's going to want to come out. The rear arms are not in bad shape at all. And distant pads at the front. Yeah, they'll be coming off because they're all very corroded. So there we go. All in all, it's pretty much a good result on this one. It's not too bad at all. It has been very well looked after throughout its life. The floor pan is sort of the biggest issue, but in effect, the car just needs a light recommissioning. It needs the rust repairing on the bottom, and it needs a really big service and probably distant pads and some tyres and stuff. So in all, it's not that bad of a car. It's definitely one which I'd say without any questions at all, because I've seen some right states come in with loads of rust problems that they want repairing, but when they see how much it's going to cost, they soon disappear, and then it's gone forever from me anyway. So I'm going to have a word with the customer, outline what I've found. He's probably going to watch this video as well before I release it to you guys. So in the next episode, we'll be either removing the cam belt or tackling the rust or doing something anyway. So, but yeah, with this one, it's again another long-term project. So the customer isn't in any rush for it back. So it'll be done sporadically over the next few months, hopefully. But I am glad that it doesn't need any body work. So let me know what you think of it. Is this one of the nice 145s you've seen? Being a Mark 1 as well, it is getting a very rare car indeed. So we've got some Magneti Marelli pads and rear discs and Delphi front discs and brand new shockers. I am still struggling to get brakes. That's why I've not got a matching set of Magneti Marelli at the front. A lot of places tend to be out of stock when you want a matching set. So let's get cracking by stripping the tyres off, the brakes down and taking the shockers off. Off camera, I have just finished changing this side. Didn't particularly run into many problems other than a stripped bolt. But what I have done is put the parts next to each other, the new and old. As you can see, those brake pads were not wearing evenly. They were all corroded, pitted, along with the discs. That's what they should look like. And although the shocker is still working okay, you can still push the pressure down on it. And it comes back up quite nicely. It is about to develop a hole for how badly rusted that is. So it's a very good job we've changed that. Otherwise that shocker would have been leaking quite shortly. Right, let's get his caliper off first. Now, when I started this job, I have left the handbrake off, and I've also taken the top off the brake fluid reservoir, just so it makes things a lot easier to get the caliper off. And when I bleed the brakes afterwards, I haven't got to worry about getting the car down from being on high in the air. Let's get the disc off with the 12mm pins that hold it in. Would have been a good idea for me to have taken these off while the brake caliper was still on. got that in the end anyway. A couple of little taps from the front should free it off. And pull it out. Now we need to get the shocker off. There's a little sort of plastic case in there. We need to take that casing off so we can then get the 15mm socket in the hole onto the nut, and hopefully it comes off in one piece, because if it snaps we are in trouble. And then the only other one we need to take off is at the bottom there, which is a 19mm. That just enables us to get the spanner in there a little bit easier. And when I did the other side, the nut had rusted quite a lot, so you couldn't get it on very easily. If you just spin it a few times while it's not on, it might remove some of the rust. And then I've lost my hammer. And there's my hammer. Let's just pop a 16 on there, just to help get rid of some of the rust. See, that's gone on now. I'm not going to put any force on it, I'm just going to twist it left and right to clean some rust off the thread, off the top of the nut. And be careful not to lose the socket in there. Still doesn't want to know. Right, I'm just going to move you out the way while I get this on and start undoing the thread. Right, I've got it on now. Just with the camera being out the way, I could just get it on a lot straighter, and a little tap of the hammer and it went on. So let's see if it will come undone without putting up a fight. Now what I've got to be very careful of as well is not to lose this bolt within the chassis rail, because this is the chassis rail here and the subframe's the other side of it. What you suppose you could do is put some cloth below it, so if it does drop it's not going to really go anywhere, but I'm going to be super careful instead and watch me drop it anyway. Okay, so that's loose now. Let's get my Sealy ratchet on the end of it. Okay, the nuts decided to stay in there. Okay, the bolt's quite far out. Right, what I'm doing, I am just going to raise this up a little bit so the bolt straightens up and comes out a little bit easier. And there we go. As you can see, you've got a vast cavern in there, and if you drop that in there, you're never going to get that out. Let's clean that thread up a little bit so it doesn't want to come out. Now a little bit of release oil on that. Let's see if it wants to play now. Alfa, in their wisdom, have put a square end on the bolt so you can't grip it properly. Let's do it up again. Oh, that was tough. This shock absorber isn't working at all, so I've got to pull it up with my hands, push it all the way down, and nothing, it stays there. So the damping in that shocker has totally gone. So that's for the scrap heap. A little bit more lubrication to help it go back on. Now what I've done here, I've used the transmission jack to raise the rear arm. So the bolt hole through there, if you can see it, should line up. I don't think I can do both at the same time. There you go, look, just about, you can see that we're almost in line. So now I can just push the bolt through the hole and hopefully get it in one shot without dropping it. Well, that's not worked first time. There we go. More sockets. Try and get it off without dropping a socket in there now. There we go. Most nerve-wracking bit over with now. We can do put the discs back on, push the caliper back and bleed the brakes. Cover's gone back in. Now we need to use my brake piston pushing tool. What I'm going to do as well is open the bleed nipple because it makes it a lot easier to push the caliper back. And as I'm bleeding and cleaning the brakes up anyway, it doesn't matter if we lose a little bit of fluid. These are quite hard to get turning. I did check the brake fluid on the other side, and it was definitely rather discoloured and old, so I might as well get the fluid changed at the same time while the wheel's off, because then the rear end is pretty much finished when it comes to putting new parts on anyway. Close that bleed nipple up for now. Now, I don't know whether you can see that on camera, but I've just been bleeding the brakes, and if you've seen the fluid going through, did you manage to spot the fluid change colour? So we know that the new fluid is there. So that's the brake all bleeding now, so we just need to close it all back up again, put the wheel on, and then we can move on to the front brakes. .145 wheel nuts are a pain because there's no lip on the end of the nut, so it goes all the way in and you can't get it back in to the wheel very easily. You've got to push it in first and then turn it by hand, and hopefully it catches. First time I can have a proper look inside this arch as well. Luckily, it's still solid. So it just needs a little bit of wire wheeling, maybe a few little spots of welding to get rid of any holes. But I will take the arch liner out when the engine comes out, so we can check there's no rust holes behind here and behind here, like there most often is on 145s. It's got a very long thread unusually. Stuck nice and fast. What I'm just doing now on the back of the caliper holder, I'm just undoing one of the bolts and loosening another one off, so I can then get the disc out and get the new one in. Now we should be able to get the disc out. Now before we bother putting anything back together, let's push this piston back in. I would if I could, but it's a little bit seized. Okay, right, we may have a faulty caliper here. So what I'm going to do is remove the caliper off the car and see if I can get it to free up in my vice. Now let's see if it will play the game. Yep, we've freed that up now. We're making a mess everywhere, but at least we've freed it up. Right, let's get this back on now. I never bothered pinching the brake line off because we've got to drain the fluid out anyway. There we go, that wasn't too difficult. There's a wear sensor on this side only, I think, on this car, because it's only supplied me with one. That's all plugged in. We have a problem. We have been supplied with the wrong size discs. And I've only just noticed. Let's go and grab one of the old discs. Yep, that's how big they should be. Oh. Blooming parts companies wasting your time. Right, let's get this all stripped back down again and then jump cut to the correct disc being fitted. Right, we're now 24 hours later and we have some new discs arrived. So let's open them and make sure they are the correct ones. When they appear to be correct. Right, let's try and get one fitted now. That looks a little bit better, doesn't it? It actually fits the carrier now. And now, in my tantrum yesterday, I thought I'd lost a brake pad, but I haven't. There we go, that fits much nicer now. Can't believe I missed it yesterday when I was putting the disc on. I think that pin there sticking out a bit to the pad isn't going right against the hub, so it's getting stuck when you go around, but once you put the wheel nuts on, I'd imagine that will be fine. Clean the back of that disc properly. Covers back on. What I'll do on this one is zoom in a little bit and see if you can tell the colour change. That looks a bit clearer. Well, in this episode we're going to be working on the 145 again. We are going to be restoring the floor this week. So let's have a look underneath it and remind ourselves of how bad it is. Let's start over on what I think is the worst side. It has had some repairs done here, and it's also started rusting again. It's also had quite a large patch there, but as you can see, it wasn't very well treated. So what I need to do is wire wheel everything down, including this bit along here, and I think we're going to have a big hole there. I'm going to have to rebuild the side of the sill, But first of all, let's get the wire wheel on the whole floor and see how many holes we can make. Right, goggles and cap on so I can stop getting some crap in my hair as I'm working. So let's just clean up from the back to the front and see how many holes we are left with. Horrible stuff doing this, it's so dusty work. So what I found up here, where he's had some repairs in the past, there is a ton of silicone sealant in there. So let's pull some of this out, and you can see what he's done is he's just plated inside the car and not cut any of the old rust out. I've also done this side, a nice big plate there, none of the rust has been cut out. The plate I've cleaned up here very roughly. We've got a new hole coming in there by the look of it, but that's easily repairable. And on the floor down here, if you can see that, we've got holes all the way down there. Oh, right, just had a wash to get rid of all the dust and dirt off my face. I've cleaned up this part as well. It's not as bad as the other side. I can't get to here just yet because the ramp's in the way. So we've got a hole here, but to be honest, by the time I've cleaned this off, there's going to be holes there as well. So I'm probably going to cut it out all the way along, probably back to here. And this side, yeah, I'm going to have a word with the customer what he wants to do, because it's all going to have to be undone. I've got to strip the interior out and have a look at how much of a job he's done welding it on the inside. But as he's done the same on both sides here, it's very much a crappy bodge of a repair. So if at any time you have to get welding done, ask the question of, are they going to cut the old weld out, or are they just going to weld a plate in, which is just stupid. Doing that, you're not stopping the problem, you're just making it worse, because water's going to be all getting in here and it's all going to be rusting underneath it still. This doesn't look like too bad of a job here, but when I take the interior out, is all the old rust going to be the other side of this as well. So the job I need to do now is take the interior out and take the carpet out and see how bad it is on the inside. Hopefully I can just lift the carpet back to the middle of the car, so I haven't got to take the central tunnel out and remove all of the carpet, but at least the seats are going to have to come out. So right, let's get cracking on. Right, yeah, as I thought, he's just welded a plate from the inside. I mean, he's done a good job, but why not just cut that rust out? And you've got the holes here, so we're going to have to strip the front out as well. I think I'm going to have to get the carpet out as well. There we go, 20p off the customer's bill. There we go. Right, now this looks as though it's been getting wet from the inside. You've got all that which has come off. So, that has been repaired. So why has that gone so bad? Right, I think the best thing to do is remove the rest of this carpet. Or can I get that back there? Right. Nope, we might be alright. Alright, that's all disintegrated to mush. So has he just plated everything from the inside and not cut anything away? Right. Yeah, because you can see a big plate's been welded in there as well. Oh, I hate it when people start working on it first and make an absolute mess of stuff. Right, let's clear this crap out of here and I'll have a look around the other side as well. So jump cut to a little bit later on. Right, I have removed the carpet from the entire passenger side and we have moisture in here, lots of it. So I don't think this has really been outside in the entire time it's been stored. So it is a little bit concerning that we've got this moisture here. This sound deadening is no good. It needs ripping out because it is absolutely sodden. So I will have to get something similar to go in there. So that would explain why the car's rusting. So what I need to do now, because this part hasn't been touched, is remove all the wiring loom out of the way. Remove that floor covering down there. It looks like it's been out at some point before because we're missing a bolt off there, but we've got one on there. So yeah, more investigative work needs to be done. What I'm hoping is the water's leaking through the wing mirror seal up there and then down into the car. Right, a bit of an idea where the water might be coming from is if you look there, you can see a line where it looks as though water's been running in. So it could have been coming from the windscreen or the scuttle which is up behind there where the washers are. It could be leaking in through there, or it could be leaking in through the door seal. So we do need to look into it a little bit more as to what's going on, but I've got to strip things back a little bit more to see what it's like under this sealant. Right, being a busy boy, I've been drilling out the spot welds, cutting out the rust. I've grinded away a little bit more to clean up the area. I've still got some more to do. I can't get to that part on the ramp, so I'm going to do that bit after. Just going to make sure I've lifted all the wires out the way, which I almost have. There's another one here to put it to. Yeah. So then we can safely weld that up. What I've also been doing off camera is I have sandblasted the fuel tank straps and painted them, so they're all done now. I've got some brand new metal to cut out and shape to the part which I've cut out. So let me cut out this metal and then we can start welding it in. Right, just been busy making the patch panel for it, and we're almost there. I do need to just cut out a little bit more there so we can fit it in nicely. Right, okay, now got the patch all cut out. I've hammered it into sort of a rough shape to go in there. I'm not a metal worker, so it's not perfect. I've got a little bit of an overlap here, so we can get a good strong weld. Let's just try and pinch this together now. If I can get my hands on it right. couple of welds here, a couple of welds there, and then I can hammer that up to be flush with the rest, and then I can tack this in last. So I can bring, so what I've had to do, I've had to hammer that across there, and then I'll hammer it back once it is all ready to be welded, and then I can hopefully have a nice straight line. Right, patch is now tacked into place. Leave me to weld this up and I shall see you in a moment. Right, first step is done. Welds are not the prettiest. I will be grinding them down a bit because some of them are a little bit large. So what I need to do now is hammer this seam together and then we can spot weld that. There we go. I have ground down some of these welds a little bit just so they're not huge anymore. As it's the underside of the car, it doesn't really need to look too pretty. Spot welds are all done along here. Again, not the prettiest, but they're all going to be hidden behind some seam sealer like they are originally from the factory. I now need to go to the other side of the car and do a few spot welds from the inside. So it was all done as to factory. Right, what I've done now is I have covered the welding areas and the new metal I've put in something called Omnicoat. This is what I use once I've welded or once I've done any metal work on bare surfaces. This will protect and also convert any rust particles that are there. So once this is dried, I will still give it another coat of acid etch, and then I can put some seam sealer along the joins and back along here to make it look like it did from the factory. So we need to give that a couple of hours to dry now. So join me in a minute when we'll put some acid etch on there. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I've decided to cut this panel out where it was all rusty. And yeah, you can see he's just welded a plate straight over the rust. So what I'm going to try and do now is sort of make it match a little bit better. I'm not going to take his welding out because, you know, he wasn't a bad welder and he's done everything right. He's just cut a corner when it comes to making it right. So if I hammer all these edges over, and then if I weld it from this side as well, it will look one hell of a lot tidier. That's a little bit better. We've got some edges around here which are nice and tight, or we just get a little bit tighter. But the main problem is here, just bending it all over the right way. So I'm going to work on that a little bit more, clean all this rusty area away, and then get welding again. Right, welded all that up now. It's not the best job in the world, but it looks a darn sight better than leaving all that rust there. I do want to just tack that hole up there, which is where the from the factory. So we'll get rid of that now and give some more rust proofing on it, and then we'll move on to the next patch. Final stage is just to cover up this seam here with some seam sealer. It's going to put a nice layer on first and then it'll get smoothed out after. So as I ended the last video, I'd still got some more welding to do. So what I've done off camera is I've pretty much finished all the welding. There was that one area on the driver's front which was really quite bad, so I had to rebuild quite a lot of that. So let's have a look at the floor now and see how much better it looks. So let's show you the underside now, what I've been doing. This side has been fully treated now. And this side, all the rust is gone. Pretty much from here forwards, I have got rid of all the rust, treated all what was left, and acid etched it, covered it all over, welded where it was needed. So all this area here, you can see it really well because it's a bit dark, has all been replaced. The rust was actually quite bad and it was all into the inner chassis. So it all had to be cut back right the way to here, all the way along the jacking point sill along there as well. So there's actually 3 skins. So you've got the floor skin, inner sill, the sort of the chassis rail jacking point area, and this part along the front here. It was all in rather bad shape, so it's all been cut out, welded in, no rust left there whatsoever now. So we are pretty much done on the welding. I would like to think these parts around here won't need much doing, but say it's all coming off again, even the brakes are coming off again, so I can get all the suspension out and everything and get this front end pretty much rust free, or the best that can be done, without sandblasting the whole thing. I'm a little bit concerned by that amount of rust up there. Now I've got the arch liner out, I can see it a bit further. That is sort of one of the worst places to weld, especially if the engine was in. So I am quite glad that it is coming out. So first job I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be removing the front bumper. I'm going to then move on to removing the subframe, front part of the exhaust, and then we can start removing stuff from the engine bay so we can start dropping the engine. Now removing this front grille, there is a crack here already, so hopefully it doesn't break anymore. Looks as though somebody had over-tightened the bolt. I have loosened it off a little bit, but the bolt is still very tight indeed. Well, that one's just spinning annoyingly. Oh, the joys. Half an hour to remove the grill. And now we can see how bad that radiator was. I'm surprised that's still holding water. In fact, it isn't, it's leaking a bit there, look. The rest of it isn't in too bad of a shape. Some rust coming there. It's not too bad around here or around here. So let's remove the radiator support, drain the coolant out of it now, and then move that radiator out of the way. Doing it in a different order than I said, but I'd rather just strip the front end down and see what we've got to deal with first, I think. Now, what's the betting? All 4 of these bolts snap off. All 3 of them, because one's already gone. That's one. And there is only 2 bolts holding this in, so getting rained on by rust. Oh, that's tight. Oh, that I'm pretty sure is going to snap. Oh, it's moved so far. Whew, 2 bolts, no breakages. Just a little bit rotten. So notice that's how bad the radiator's gone. I've separated it from the bottom of the radiator. Wow, that seems to take forever. Right, before you all ask, well, why didn't you just unbolt it from the other side of the cat? The reason I didn't is because that bolt ain't going to come out. And my initial thought was, oh, it'll be quicker just to push the flange out. But no, unfortunately, it was more difficult. I think my battery's gone flat. Try again. seems that every single bolt on this car is fighting me. I've been working on this for what, 3 hours? And I still haven't even got the subframe off. Right, try again now, loosen that one up. And what I've ordered some new bolts for all down here though, because they're all a little bit manky. Left in that. Hopefully, not damage the thread on that. Quality tool. I think the threads have gone in that one too. Nope, there we go. This other bolt is a little bit more difficult because the ABS sensor's in the way, so you can't get your gun on it. That was my finger. many bolts in place as I can so none of them go missing. I do imagine this shocker wheel is going to get changed, but at least it's in the right spot at the moment. I am losing my mind. I have just literally finished using my hammer, been over to the workbench, came back, didn't take my hammer because I knew I'd got another one over there, and it's disappeared. So let's play Find the Hammer. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, found it. I did bring it over to the workbench with me and I put it in the drawer and shut the drawer. I'm an idiot. Right, both hubs are now off. They're now cable tied up to the spring, so I'm not stretching any of the cables or hoses. That side's up as well. So now it's time to get the subframe off. Don't forget, it's 3 positives here which go together on the back terminal, not just the one. Let's undo the heater matrix pipes. Right, we're almost ready to drop the engine. All that's holding in it now are 2 engine mounts. I've undone the clutch sleeve, I've undone the heater matrix pipes, I've undone the front pipe here. All the gear pipes are undone. I've taken the earth off. The power steering pipe should stay still when the engine drops. There may be a few more to undo around the back of the engine. I can't remember on these phase 1s how much you've got to undo. I think I've got to undo a few here as well, so we'll undo those and then get it up in the air and start dropping the engine. We've just got a few bolts to undo on the 2 engine mounts, 6 bolts, and we're ready to drop it down. Now I did forget that Alfa couldn't make connector blocks back in the early 90s, and you've got to literally remove pretty much every single piece of wiring from the car. So we had to remove the coil packs, injectors, connectors, throttle body connectors, everything. So everything is all separated from the car now. So let's have a look in the engine bay. Now, crusty rust to get rid of all here, which isn't too bad. Underneath here is in need of some TLC. Fingers crossed it won't need much welding. There's a little bit missing around here, but we can live without that. It's not structural. All the parts behind here are not bad at all. That's sort of the worst sort of crusty bit on the front slam panel, but it's not that bad at all. We can treat that while brush it down. And onto the other chassis leg. Again, not too bad. It's all been caught in time. It's just down here is going to be the awkward bit, because I'm going to have to take a lot of stuff off, which is always fun. I do also have a ton of parts which I either need to clean, sandblast and get powder coated or painted. The exhaust hasn't, that's just got to be moved out of the way. The radiator support, I've got to take a few clips off that to transfer over to the new one. And I have to get the car off the ramp onto my trolley so I can then get it into the back end of the booth out the way, so I can continue working while everything else gets done. So it's been quite a busy sort of, what time is it, 7 hours I've spent doing this today. It's taken me sort of twice as long as I thought it would because of seized bolts, so it wasn't that bad at the end of the day really. So what I've got to do now is I've got to lower it onto my trolley, which is there, and get it off the ramp now so I can continue with my work next week while everything gets done. So there we go guys, dirty face, overworked, out of breath. Quite a productive day so far. So what I'm going to do now is leave you guys here. I've probably got more than enough to edit now and put together for you guys to watch in a video. So what I've got to do on this is strip out everything from the chassis legs, so like the water bottle, the coolant bottle, the top engine mount. Got to take the suspension out as well, strut bar off. I'm probably going to have to remove the ABS pump. Don't really want to do that because they are a nightmare to get off, especially with all the brake pipes. Move all the wiring loom out of the way, take the airbox off. I'm probably going to remove these headlight support units. They should come off relatively easily because there doesn't appear to be much rust there. And then it's get the wire wheel on the underneath and all the rust and start to get rid of it all. I have then got to replace these bad boys down there. So I've got a busy day ahead. I've also been busy prepping some rusty parts. So this has all been sandblasted, if you remember how crusty that was. There's just a little bit of crust still left there, but that's nothing to worry about. It's all been rust treated. This is now acid etch primer. So I'm going to give this a few more hours to dry. Then I can put a nice glossy black coat on it with a nice big thick coat of lacquer. mental note for myself, I'm putting masking tape over this because I know it's not a used connector. That's the connector for the headlight washers on the Cloverleaf version. Right, everything's now off the front end, all the wiring looms out the way, all the clips have been removed, the wires and the pipework down the back are all loose so they can be moved to one side. ABS pump has been removed and all the brake pipes can all be moved to one side. I am just letting the brake fluid drip into a bucket at the moment. So yeah, we're almost ready to start grinding it back and seeing what we're left with. Well, that's the worst bit down there, and at least it's not holed. It's very corroded, but it still feels very solid and no holes have come there, so we should be able to get away with no welding in the engine bay at least. So let's crack on with the rest of it. So I have been a very busy boy yesterday. It is now the following day, and I'm now at the point where I can almost get the car primed. I've got all the chassis legs prepped as far back as I can go. I've tucked all the engine loom into the centre of the bulkhead so everything can be kept out of the way. Still got a little bit of prep work to do, a little tidying up with the masking and things like that, and then we should be ready to slap some primer on it. So it's now Sunday late morning. I've been working all weekend on the 145, getting all the engine bay in order, ready to put the engine back in. So let's have a little look around it and I'll show you what I've been up to. Let's start with the engine. Other than a cam belt, water pump and the alternator and starter motor have been refurbished, that is pretty much it for the engine. The engine cover has had to be sent away to be welded in a local company I use, because somebody over the years had decided to break it and then silicone it back together. So as I was blasting that, it all came apart. So that should all be done like new once I get it back, and I'll be refurbishing it. I have refurbished this front part of the engine cover. I've cleaned a lot of the parts up. Subframe has all been done to be like new. Radiator's all been cleaned up. I've cleaned the fan housing up, but it could do with doing again. It's a bit dirty on top still. I've also been busy refurbishing a lot of parts, but they are stored out the way so they don't get damaged. Got a brand new radiator support. Refurbished that, but I've trod on it, so I may have to clean that up again. Engine bay is all looking clean and tidy. So it's a little bit dusty from all the work that's been going on during the week. Tidied up all the wiring loom. I've put all the wiring loom back in place. I've refurbished the top mounts. So I've refurbished the engine mount. I've refurbished all the bolts. I've cleaned all the wiring loom up, so it's all looking nice and clean now. Cleaned all the air filter up. I have got to take these nuts out again and paint them because I forgot to do it. They are just bare metal nuts, so we don't want to leave them like that. So pretty much all that's left to be done now is to get the engine bolted in. So we're going to get that done now and get it hanging on its two engine mounts. Supported the engine and it's as level as it's going to go, so hopefully we can just pop it straight in, offer it up to the car and then get it all bolted in. First job I'm going to do is plug in the power steering hose, because if you leave that while the engine's up top, it's very difficult to get back in. So, engine is back in now. Leave me for a few hours to button everything back up, and when you rejoin me, hopefully everything will be back in the engine bay. Right guys, we're back. It's a few days later. I've managed to put everything back together. Last job for me to do is to put some coolant in it, and then we can give it its first start, and hopefully it runs again okay. There's no reason why it shouldn't do, because it's only had a cam belt put on it. The only other worry is sort of the accelerator cable. As it's a cable, they are a little bit of a pain sometimes for the idle once you restart them up, once you've reinstalled everything. I do still need to clean up a few bits on the engine bay, and I've also got to give the full car a full good wash and polish. I did speak to the customer about refurbishing the rest of the engine or anything else he wanted doing, but he just wanted the rocker cover doing, so that's why nothing else has been touched other than the engine bay itself. And I think pretty much every nut, screw and bolt has either been replaced or cleaned up. So now I think we are ready to go. Check the oil level still. Spot on. Right, fingers crossed. Pipe off, and for the life of me I can't see where it's got to go. Right, I just left that little vacuum pipe off there, that one right there, so it's all plugged in now. So we do need to sort the wiring out there and there. I've not put those back in yet either, but at least we know it runs. Let's just start it up again. No warning lights by the airbag, so that's good. Let that get up to temperature now, and we are ready for a little test drive just to make sure all the nuts and bolts are tight. It's now about 5 minutes later. The car's warming up nicely. The little tick that we had from the top end was just a stick-in hydraulic lifter, and that is nice and quiet now. So we're going to get it outside now, give it a wash, and on to the next stage, which is the bodywork. Well, these old cars do like to try us. After having quite a successful startup, the power steering pump has decided to fail. So after having the engine out the car, checking the power steering pump and everything else there, and it was all okay. Put it back together, got it running, and the pump started to fail. So I'm just in the process of fitting another one, which is a great task because I've removed the alternator just to get the power steering pump out. You can do it from the top, but I thought, as everything's freshly painted there, that I'd do it from the bottom so I don't scratch any of the freshly painted paintwork. While I'm waiting for that little touch up to dry, I've been polishing the car. I've started with the roof, and as you can see there, the right hand side of the bonnet has had its first pass of a good thick compound, and the left side hasn't. So let's crack on finishing the roof. So guys, it's been a good few months in the making, but I'm finally here. I have finished the 145. It's taken, what, 4 months? So it's taken quite a bit of time, but there was one heck of a lot of work to do. So let's have a walk over the car now, and you can see the completed car. So there we go guys, one project 145 totally finished. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and I shall see you in the next video.